Yeah, awesome. Oh, perfect time to go live, right when Chris coughs.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, all right, guys. Well, welcome. We are live again, back with the DripJobs, partner spotlight live stream that we do here. So, guys, if you're first time coming, of course, the format, we always have a partner, we always have a guest, we have somebody, in the industry that's an industry expert. And today we have Chris Moore. Chris Moore, industry expert, industry leader. Been in the painting industry for a long time. Expert on business operations, efficiency, stuff like that, and of course, the founder of Elite Business Advisors. So, Chris, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, man? It's good to see you. Thanks for having me on here. I always love doing this. I always laugh whenever I hear industry expert and then my name behind it. I just always laugh about that. But I appreciate it. I love what we do. I'm passionate about this industry, and I look forward to diving deeper into this. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Of course. Well, and we're all learning, right? I mean, it just always got to be learning, right? Never stop, stop for sure. So, good to see you again too. I mean, we saw each other at PCA. We've seen each other at multiple PCAs at this point, and multiple events at this point. So, that was that.
We've got a lull here, right? We came out of all those fall events, and then it was okay, we got a couple months till Expo, and now it's I guess we got a little bit of a gap till fall events again.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, and you kind of have the similar trend going that I do is usually after I get really busy, this kind of gets a little, this gets a little unkept.
It's the little things that go out the window when busy season happens.
It is. It's so true. It's so funny. But anyway, man, well, let's dive into it, man. So obviously this is a partner spotlight, right? So we kind of want to hear about you and things like that. So you've been in the industry for a long time, but kind of where did that start, right? Where did that start, and kind of what did that look like as you progressed through your career, and I mean eventually making it to Elite Business Advisors?
Yeah, man. I love telling the story, and I always try to make it a short version of it. But I actually started. Would you say we have an hour and a half? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we'll just take it all on this. So, for me, I actually started when I was 19 years old. I started in college with a company called Student Painters, one of the many different college painting models that exist out there here in the St. Louis area when I was in college. And, I had an opportunity to see what it was like to run and manage a business with no risk, right? And as an entrepreneurship and a business major, I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool opportunity, right? And, went through the internship. The type of business that we did was exterior house painting. We didn't do interiors first year for many thousands of reasons. You spill a gallon of paint on grass, not a big deal. Spill a gallon of paint on carpet, you got a big problem, right? So, and so started with them. Actually stayed with them for 6 years after that initial internship. So spent 7 years with them overall. After I graduated college, ended up running the St. Louis, Southern Illinois, Kansas. I had a whole huge, massive territory down here. And so I guess up here compared to where you're at, but yes, I had a huge territory. I was responsible for recruiting college students, training them, teaching them what it was like to run and manage an exterior house painting business, coaching them, mentoring them. We would take 18-year-old college students that in some cases never had a job before, right? We're 2 or 3 sport athletes in high school, never had time for a job. We would take them and they would run, $150,000 painting companies just in the summertime, right? In the 3-month window between spring and fall semester. So it was crazy, man. It was a super cool business model. And with all the fun and all the cool stories we had of mentoring and coaching these college students, and I still keep in touch with some of them today, right? It's cool to see how that launched them out into the world and their careers and the experience they relied on with that. All the good comes with all the bad, right? For every cool case study we had, there was 4 fires I was putting out because, somebody decided they wanted to halfway prep a house and, paint over stuff. And we're stuck dealing with that. Right. So kind of decided it was time to move on. A lot of leadership here in the Midwest region kind of all came to that same conclusion around the same time, decided it was time to part ways. And I'll never forget, I got home that night. My wife's like, so what are you going to do? You don't have a job tomorrow, right? We kind of all quit in October. And I was like, well, I'm going to go start my own painting business. I always still kind of had my own little business inside of Student Painters throughout that whole 7-year stint. And that we might have even had a little bit of work already sold for wintertime and stuff. So anyways, just started my own business. I knew I wanted to get back into coaching and mentoring. long term. I just wasn't ready at that time to on kind of a quick notice like that. So it's kind of like, hey, what's the easy thing? I'll go start a painting company, which was good because then I got to go through all the steps in the legal process and the tax side of it and all this stuff I didn't really have to deal with student painters. I had to go through and do that for myself.
Yep.
And then so started that in November 2016. Started building that company, and then March of 2018. So it's been 8 years, Eli, which is crazy to think about. We started Elite Business Advisors. I ran it alongside my painting company for a couple of years, kind of made the full-time switch in 2020 to here. Was still doing a little bit of some paint jobs. I think last P&L we turned in was 2020 or 2021, one of the 2 years. So, and so we went all in on the painting industry. At first, I kind of fought it a little bit. Happy to dive deeper into that. But then we really realized, man, like people wanted to come work with me at the time because I'd had the experience. I'd been in their shoes, right? We had the relationship with Sherwin-Williams here in St. Louis, the local leadership. And so they were a great kind of referral point as I was launching out into this business. We got involved in the PCA at the time, and just like one thing after another, we really actually saw the benefit of just 100% niching into the painting industry here. And that's where we still are 5 years later here today.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, man. So many good nuggets in there, right?
Yes.
You basically just started compounding value, right? Or compounding, you kind of started value stacking and everything lined up to where it just made sense, to niche down in the painting industry, which, I mean, that's something that a lot of people don't figure out for a while of like niche down in something. It doesn't have to be painting, but like niching down in something. Like how much of a difference? It doesn't matter if you're a painter, if you're doing epoxy, if you're doing, gutters, like whatever it is, anything in the trades or anything in life in general, really, right? Like, how big a difference did that make when you decided just to like, boom, laser focus, niche down?
I mean, so much. And I think for me, like, and this is where I would say, like, I'm happy to dive into that a little bit more because, like, I think I fought it, Eli, because I felt like I was taking the easy way out, right? Like, I came out of the industry, and then it was like I was going right back in, right? And I think I just, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was ego, I don't know if it was something with that, but I was kind of like, I want to go work with all business owners, right? I had a friend of mine that started a financial coaching company, and he had a financial advising license, but did that and tax strategy. And I helped him with a lot. And like, that was a lot of fun, right? I had another company that did exteriors, and I helped them with some marketing stuff. And like, it was really cool and fun. But then it also got really exhausting the more clients we took on, because now I'm like over here learning about this industry, right? And what do these clients need for tax strategy and financial coaching? Okay. Now, what does this guy need for exteriors? They do roofing, gutters, windows, soft washing. Okay, that's a whole different mindset, right? And then there's this third company and the fourth company, and it was fun, but it also got to be exhausting, right? And then as the opportunities came up in painting, and that's when I really found the power in niching down into it because of the experience I had, not because it was taking the easy way out. It was because I was actually better able to relate and connect with people because I'd been in their shoes before.
Yeah.
Right. From the simple things of dealing with just taxes to, problematic employees to systems to actually selling paint jobs. Like, I've done it. I can show them like what I did that worked, what I did that didn't work. And, and so that's why I think when I kind of finally stopped fighting whatever, maybe ego, pride, or I just, again, had a desire to kind of work with all different kinds of businesses. It's been really cool to see, because now, I mean, we've built out, an entire, coaching system. I mean, we don't really have a program that you walk through necessarily, but like we have this entire baby that we've created. Yeah. And we were able to do that because it's all applicable to every one of our clients, right? In different ways, different models with subs and residential, commercial, but it's like everything we have is just parallel, right? There's not a lot of legwork necessary to tweak things and change stuff. So, I'm a big fan of it. It's honestly something we've talked about. Like, how do we get back into serving like all different types of home service businesses, right? Whether it's trades or, anything like that. And it's still like maybe on like the 5 to 10 year plan, but every year, like I kind of just kick it a little bit farther down the road because one, I mean, it's not preventing our growth as a company, right? Two, like we have so much potential here still, right? Like, so for us, it's like there's a time and a place for that. We have kind of a growth strategy on when we're going to do that, but for right now, like we're staying here, man.
Yeah, I like it. So let's back up to something you said earlier that kind of like stuck in my brain a little bit.
Love it.
You talked about, kind of always knowing that you wanted to coach, you wanted to advise and stuff like that. So, and this is just, I mean, not necessarily even to the trade, just in life in general, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that, you know what I mean? Like, knowing, okay, like I know I want to do this. I know that I'm like gifted in it. I know, like for somebody who's struggling, they're like figuring out like, what do I do? What do I want to, like, you kind of already had a little, you kind of already knew based on from student painters that you wanted to advise and you wanted to help people out and help them grow their businesses and stuff like that. But what about somebody who doesn't, right? Like they're trying to figure it out. Like, man, what can I do? Like I could do this. I could do this. Like, what am I passionate about? I mean, it could be your job, right? It could be your career. It could be anything, it could be hobbies you want to take up, something like that.
No, I mean, I think it's, I don't know that I ever had like an aha moment. I love the question, by the way, because I love reflecting on this stuff. Because as entrepreneurs, we don't stop and think about these things, right? Like we just go, like, I know what I need to do next month, next quarter, this year. Like I don't stop and think about this. So I love doing this stuff, man. I think for me, honestly, like between the experience I had with student painters, I also coached high school hockey right out of high school too.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I was our like goalie coach for 2 years, slid into an assistant coach role. I actually took over head coach. I was the youngest head coach of a hockey team, high school hockey team, like at least in the whole area. I don't know about how far out that went. Nice. And like I loved that too. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I knew I was developing this passion for like helping other people succeed and reach their potential. Now I didn't know that it was going to be, business coaching in the painting industry. Like that wasn't, again, obviously part of like my long-term vision. Mm-hmm. But I knew that I had this passion for helping others. And I kind of had this gift for how I could connect and relay and lead and coach and mentor people. And I think honestly, it was kind of that. So it was everything from hockey. It was, again, the case studies with student painters and the joy that brought me. Right. Mm-hmm. And then, as I got into it more and had my own painting company, I kind of strayed away from some of that stuff. But that's when I kind of started effectively coaching people without like having any sort of formal thing. Right. And I started having enough people, some painting contractors are like, man, like you need to start a business with this. Right. And that's what continued to push me in that direction. But I think for me, what really like solidified that this was like my long-term kind of goal and purpose in life was probably end of 2018, early 2019, when I was kind of in the thick of like running my painting company, building EBA here and figuring it out. Honestly, I mean, we had nothing. Like I didn't go take like a John Maxwell course on how to become a coach and what you do. Like I just literally was like, I don't know, we're going to figure this out. And I will never forget, like my wife got to a point where she could tell the days where I was like painting or like in the painting business all day. Mm-hmm. And the days when I had coaching meetings. Yeah. I was two totally different human beings, Eli. Yeah. In the way that I would wake up in the morning, the way that I would be in the evening. Yeah. Like I was so passionate and excited and like just ready to conquer the world when I had coaching meetings that day. Yeah. And then like I do miss spraying cabinets, but like if I'm on site and I'm just doing this and like, I'm listening to podcasts, but man, like it's been hard. So for me, I think that really like helped really bring that home of like, it wasn't just that I started recognizing my passions, but I think it was that those around me started realizing, and that kind of helped continue to push me in that direction of like, now this is where I need to go.
Yeah. So what you're saying is the one person, the boss noticed.
Yep.
And
the boss noticed.
The boss noticed, and you're like, all right, yes, ma'am.
Yep, exactly. So, I mean, again, I think it just was a combination of kind of paying attention to what brought me joy, what brought me fulfillment, what were the things that I really enjoyed doing. And I think, honestly, part of it's just like diving into, the gifts that we feel like we're all given, right? We're all gifted in different ways, in different areas. And I think it's easy to fight that sometimes. But I think kind of like realizing like, hey, there's a reason why my mind thinks the way it does. Like to me, it's nothing special, but when I have enough people like, man, you break things down so simply and you take all these complex things and you just simplify it and give it to us in actionable steps. And I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't realize I did that. Right. That's just how my brain operates. And so again, enough like feedback from people really kind of made me realize like, nah, this is something where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And I agree. I mean, I think exactly what you said, when you get enough people kind of asking you the same questions or, hey, how do you do this? Or what do you do this? But then there's clear I don't know. This is just maybe a life observance that I've noticed, right? You know, it's clear when somebody has like a God-given talent, right?
Yeah.
Like they have something special for this one area. And most people relate that to sports, right? It's like, well, that's not the only area. Like teaching, sports, analytics, you know, operations, logistics, like running a business. I mean, kids, like there's all kinds of stuff where people can clearly be very talented and like, hey, you should probably just run hard in that direction. Because like you're really good at it and you're probably really well at it, which again will kind of like the financial stuff will kind of come with time, right? Like my wife is very creative, and I mean she's done you know, everything from graphic design to ceramics to product shoots to all kinds of stuff, right?
That's cool.
Interior design, like clearly has the eye. Like, I mean, I've looked at some of the stuff that she does, or she'll show me stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, babe. I'm not sure.
Like, this is not my pay grade.
This is above my pay grade for sure. So now, what's the difference between, you know, you kind of mentioned being, you know, coach and consultant and stuff like that, you know, advisor, you know, there's a lot of different words that get thrown around right there. But like, what's the difference between like, what you would say anyway, between like a mentor and like an advisor or a coach, right? Because in my mind, those kind of like go in different paths and have their places, different places and different purposes, right? But in your mind, is that one and the same, or are you where do you fall?
So here's this is good, man. So my thoughts are this. I think from a like principal point of view of the influence that they have on your life, it should be one and the same. Okay. But to me, the difference between that is typically a mentor is somebody that's doing it for free, for lack of a better term. An advisor, a coach, a consultant, insert whatever title here, is somebody that you're paying for a professional service. So I think, like, again, the impact should be the same, right? Okay. Like I've had mentors in my life that mentored me, whether it was from a spiritual point of view as we were journeying down that part of our life, you know, whether it's been in a business point of view and in multiple facets. I've had multiple mentors in kind of the business realm, right? But I haven't paid any of them, right? But the impact was there, right? But then I also have coaches in my life too. I do coaching with Dan Martell on a weekly call with him, and then also Dr. Jeff Cornwall, who spoke at Expo with Nick for one-on-one coaching. Like, so it's like I still have like kind of some mentors. But here's what I honestly found, Eli, is like for me, like I wasn't good at being the mentee because I wasn't paying for it. And I don't know, again, if that was something I needed to work through, but that was for me personally. Like I've and still a good friend of mine, he was willing to mentor me, but I was just like, I just didn't feel like there wasn't that transactional piece to it that like kept us on a good routine and kept us on like certain things. So again, so I would say the impact should be similar, right? A mentor is somebody that's gone before you, that's been down that path before, that has the fruit on the tree to help you, right? I think somebody that's coaching or advising should have that same quality, true, right? Like if it's another perspective, they're looking out for your best interest. But I feel like the journey and how the transactional piece of it is the difference between mentor versus, you know, advisor, coach, consultant.
I would agree. Cause I mean, mentor, you're kind of like, you're right on the fringe and on the fence of like friend as well too. Right.
Right. Exactly.
And you're not gonna say, hey, like, you know, I'm going to pay you X, or, hey, I'm going to charge you X kind of thing for sure. Now here's an interesting one. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and it just kind of made me think, because, you know, a lot of people in this space are leaders. A lot of people are, you know, looked up to as leaders and things like that. And leadership in general, of course, is a huge topic. You know, I mean,
oh gosh,
there's the John C. Maxwell's of the world. There's the, you know, like you said, the Dan Martells of the world, the Cornwalls, of the, you know, and everything like that. So, but I was talking to somebody about this the other day, because a lot of people think, and I'd love to hear your take on this. A lot of people think and have this sort of concept that in order to lead somebody, in order to mentor or advise somebody, you know, you've got to be way up here at this level. You have to have accomplished all these things and done this, and, you know, have this, you know, roster of stuff that you've done and successfully done and made millions and blah, 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 all those kinds of things. But when all reality, right, you could be right here and somebody over here could be kind of just below you, right? And if, you can kind of mentor or coach somebody that you're just a little bit of, one step ahead of them in life, or the things that you're coaching them on. And like, that's kind of enough to sort of lead them somewhat. Now there's levels, and there's obviously a responsibility if you're doing that to it.
Right.
But like, what do you think about that? Right. Cause like, yeah.
No, I love the question. I think honestly, it's why a lot of people deal with imposter syndrome.
Sure.
Because of that, right? We get too wrapped up in the thinking behind that. I know it's something I struggled with, especially early on, right? Yeah. I think it's for a long time, it was kind of why we were, I don't want to say we like pigeonholed ourselves, but like we kind of were the company that like worked with the painting contractors that were under $1 million, and we didn't have a lot of clients over that. We've evolved a lot over the years. And I think a lot of it was because of my own head trash that was like, we built companies to these levels and stuff. And then I've realized over time, and again, in a lot of conversations with people that struggle with imposter syndrome of like, oh, like I can't help that person because I haven't like XYZ. I look at it from the point of view of like, if you're impacting their life or impacting their business in a positive way and getting them closer to where they want to go, your qualifications, your history really doesn't mean anything. Right. Like if you've got the way to connect with them and to communicate and to help, and whether you've done it or not personally, but you've been around enough people that have, and have enough experience with it to successfully navigate somebody. Right. And I think, the reason why I kind of share that too is I think on the flip side of it though, and this is honestly why we didn't go with the term coaches for us, although I always use it interchangeably, why we went with advisors, is because there's so many people out there that went through some sort of coaching course and called themselves a coach and arguably don't really even know much about business. Right. And just like, or maybe what they're doing. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Sure.
Anybody listening to this probably wouldn't fall into that category, but for the most part, it's like, so while I say that about like, you don't have to have the experience, you don't have to be the person at the top of the industry in order to effectively help others. I think there's also something to be said though. You also can't be the person that just calls themselves a coach, has no idea what they're coaching on, and you're shotgunning it. Right. Yeah. If that makes sense. And again, I don't want to mean that in a de-edifying way to anyone, but there was a season where everybody seemed like they were just a coach all of a sudden. And I was like, what is happening with the world? Right. Like, and it was around the time I was starting this, and probably that tied in with the imposter syndrome a little bit too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Everybody's a certified coach now for something.
Right. And they're like, oh, what's your certification? I'm like, I just have ran a painting company before. I don't. My certification. So awesome. I'm EPA lead certified. Does that count?
Does that count?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and I mean, really, the core, it all comes down to one thing you just said, like helping people.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, that's it, right? Like if you have one little bit of knowledge that you can tell somebody that says like, hey, I've done that before this way, or I did this and it went great, or I did this and it was a disaster. Don't do that. I mean, you can one small act or one small thing that you might tell somebody can like change the trajectory of their path or of their life in a big way. And you may never know it, right? You may never know it, but you can,
that to me, that's the gratifying part about what we get to do, right? Is the hundreds or thousands or whatever number of people that we may never meet, that through a podcast, through something like this, through speaking at an event, like through whatever, man, can have that impact. Right. And I think for me, I think another piece of that, truthfully, Eli, is like, and this is a big thing for us and one of our core values, like we'll always be the first to tell you if we feel like we can't help you or we're not the best person to answer a question. Right. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, here's how you run a $5 million company. Cause like, I haven't ran a $5 million company, but guess what? I can probably coach you on how to get there because we've worked through it enough. We've seen it enough. Like it doesn't change anything. But if we get to a point where I'm like, I don't know that I can help you get to the next level, I am going to be the first person to tell you that, right? Because I don't want to set either of us up for failure. So I think that's a big thing is, again, also knowing where your limits are. Yeah. Same thing for us with like advice. Like I'm happy to talk legal stuff, but I'm also like, go talk to your attorney before you do anything. Like I'm happy to give you my thoughts here, but like, here's my quick disclaimer on that one, so I think it's just knowing when to like, hold the line and not go above and beyond and stretch yourself into a place where you shouldn't be at. And even at that, with some companies, it's like, if you're a very industrial, commercial, like, company that specializes in all this crazy stuff, like, I don't really want you to be a client of ours because I don't think any of us can help you, right? Like, depending on what the situation is. So we'll always be the first person to tell them, like, hey, I just don't think this is the right fit, and I think that's also why we've had the reputation we've had over the years.
Yeah. Solid. Awesome. All right. Switching gears on you, because this is one of my favorite topics to talk about in general in life.
Yes.
Just because I'm an active person overall.
Okay.
The physical game, right? Like the active, you know what I mean? Like how important do you think it is to keep some kind of routine in your life going?
Yes.
Right. And then what's your like physical output of choice?
Dude. So if this conversation would have happened anytime in the last 3 years, I would have probably been like, Eli, I have no business talking about this. You tell me your thoughts. I've actually been on like a hardcore health and fitness journey the last like 8 weeks though. So great timing. I'm down like 3% body fat, like 11 pounds. I actually start to feel better and see some slight results. So I will say this. Being the person that sucked at that the last 3 to 4 years of my life, I'll blame the kids because my wife and I just like to blame everything on the kids, right? It was totally me, as much as I want to use them as an excuse. Being somebody that sucked at that and being somebody that's now on this journey of like working out 5 times a week, eating healthier, tracking all my macros and food, dude, like for me, I mean, favorite output of choice, I mean, nothing beats like just a good chest and upper body day. Like just feel the pump. You can't move your arms after, but like you feel stronger afterwards.
Yeah.
That's my go-to. Cardio, it's stairs, actually, the Stairmaster at the gym. That is like and I hate cardio. I hate cardio. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm the one thing that gets me going.
Dude, I love it. I'm a runner, like I'm a cycler, like, oh dude, you know, like a solid, just solid 5 miles in or something like that. Or dude, my favorite, just a trail run, right?
Okay.
Like, go out there in the woods, in nature, in the sun, in the elements, and I'm in the Austin area, right? So we got a lot of hills and a lot of, so there's just a lot of up and down and rocks, and boulder hopping and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Dude, that's so cool. I like it. Dude, how crazy is it? Or like intake food wise matters so much.
Game changer, dude. It is. Here's the thing. So I knew that I wasn't eating great, and that most of my problem lied within like portion control, right? I'll go back for seconds. I'll just do this. I'm cleaning up the kitchen, putting the food away. I'll eat a couple more bites of something, right? Like just like all this stuff, right? And I've done the calorie tracking before in previous, years of life and stuff. And so like kind of knew that, right? But this year I was like, you know what? Like I hear a lot of people talking about macros. I started doing some research. I talked to Matt Kuiper and Slavic and some different people I know that have really dove into that. And I'm like, maybe I need to focus on that, right?
Yeah.
And so I did, and literally immediately I was like, I don't even want to know the amount of fat that I was consuming. Like I am put cheese on everything, put ranch on everything, like all the things, right? And so I started looking at it and I'm like, there were so many days that, especially early on, that I'm like, calories fine. Okay, I'm getting good protein now. I've cut back on the carbs, but like fat is just like, and so like it just, dude, the awareness is key. Everything about it, I couldn't recommend it more. If you're trying to like get better and get healthier and get in, like the working out isn't necessary, but honestly, like just tracking what you eat and the awareness of it has been a game changer for me.
Yeah. 100%. I can't agree. I mean, we're big label readers, and I mean, and you have to be, right? I mean, you turn into that when you start actually putting some thought and awareness behind what you eat. You start reading labels and you realize immediately, holy cow, what am I eating and what are all these things in my supposed food,
right? Well, and for perspective, somebody brought in some bagels from Panera earlier, and I was like, man, like I kind of just want like a half of one, right? Like I'm not gonna go all, like before I'd be like, give me the cream cheese, I'm gonna eat 1.5 of these things, right? I'm gonna make a sandwich with the bagels. And so I was like, man, I kind of want to. And then I was like, okay, let me go ahead and log what I know we're cooking for dinner tonight. Let me like log everything else. And then like, what would it be like today if I did have a half of one? And I was like, oh, all right. Like actually I can swing that. Right. But like, it kept me to eating a half of one, not like, oh, the half was so good, I'm going to go get the other half because that immediately is going to blow everything. Right. So it's just the awareness of it. And again, you can still eat some of that stuff, but it's just in moderation. Right.
Yeah.
I actually went to Chipotle and only ate half of a bowl the other day. That was like the first time in my life I actually only ate half of it. I was like, I didn't know I could even do this. Like, it's because I had to.
Yeah.
So man, it's huge. Again, the awareness, I'll speak to that 100 times more than even just the physical side of it. But yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah. Anybody can, I mean, and this is the kind of last thing I'll kind of end on that, but or you're in that topic on that, but just the, like turning it into like a lifestyle versus just, all right, I'm going to kind of do a sprint for, 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
Making it a lifestyle, that's like the long-term gains, right?
It's sustainable.
It's, you got to be able to sustain, but
well, I think one thing I'll just share on this that's been helpful too, because I've had a lot of people ask me, like I've put this all over social, I've put it like in our podcast, like everybody's asking me about it. But honestly, one of the best things I did was I was with John McFarland up at Nick's retreat in January, and John made a comment about like trying to get health and fitness in check this year, and I was like, hey, will you be my accountability partner? And if you know John, there's also a reason I asked John, because he wouldn't let me slide for a couple of days if I tried to. And I appreciate that about him. And he was like, dude, I would love it. So literally 6:30 every morning, we text each other. I have a reminder in my phone to text John. Dang. And it's like, did we hit our macros the day before and did we work out? Right. And if there's a couple of days where either of us, we haven't had this yet, but if either of us start sliding, like we're there to correct each other. Right. So honestly, I think that's been just as huge as everything else, was just that I've got somebody I've got to report to every day, and not just myself, because I'll let myself down. I won't let somebody I appreciate and care about.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So accountability partner.
Accountability. It's huge.
Get one and get one and stick to it. Awesome. Yes. Very cool. All right. Switching gears on you again. I just wanted to, I love that.
I love it. So, no, that's good, man.
Switching gears on you again. Let's kind of go back to the, we're in 2026, obviously you're seeing trends, you're seeing things, right? So, there's a lot of AI around businesses. There's a lot of, a lot of talk about, systems and this and that and all those kinds of things. But like, so one, what's coming this year, right? Like, I mean, what are you kind of seeing? What do you think's coming this year?
Yeah.
Like what for people to look out for? And then, as far as efficiency wise, if somebody says like, man, I'm really trying to streamline my business, I'm really trying to like clean it up, lean it up, trim the fat, what do you suggest on that front? So it's a bit of a two-part.
No, that's good. So first thing, what do I see for the year? My gut and my crystal ball, that doesn't work. What I honestly see, Eli, I think it's going to be a pretty solid year for contractors, for painting contractors. What we've seen so far, obviously, whether you can follow the trends so far, the first 8-10 weeks into the year here, in the weeks where places are getting hit with snowstorms or crappy weather, like sales are down, but across the board, sales seem to be up here in Q1. We've had a lot of clients hitting, or exceeding their sales goals for quite a bit in the first few months of the year here, which, we don't always set super conservative sales goals either. A little bit conservative, but they're blowing them out of the water, even some historical averages. And so we're seeing like a pretty big backlog get built up with a lot of people right now, which is good and encouraging to see as things are starting to pick up. And again, this is just kind of blanket statement, 80-90% of people, there's always the 10 to 20% that may not fall into this, but for the most part, we're seeing a good start to the year. So that's a lot of optimism into what the rest of the year brings. I think from an economic level, and I'm not an economist by any means, but from an economic level, if interest rates continue to trend backwards, we're going to see more people refinancing. Some people doing cash out refis to invest into their home. Interest rates have historically been high in comparison over the last 3 years. And so again, I don't know what they're doing today necessarily. I don't care about that, but overall they're trending down and getting into a point where it's going to start triggering a lot of refinances as well. And we expect to see people using that money for home improvements or, more discretionary spending on a monthly basis if they can lessen their payments out. So I think there's definitely a lot of trends that are looking in a good direction. Obviously a lot of question marks with, political and world stuff going on that can always throw a wrench in things. I never want to talk on the negative side of that, but obviously there's a reality to just, you never know. But at least from what we're seeing in Q1 here, pretty much across the board, it's like we're turning in a good direction, which I think is encouraging. I think some people are going to dig out of some holes that got dug the last couple of years. Seems to be a little bit more demand happening again. So I think a lot of good positive things coming there. I think the challenge on that, and then we get into your part two of your question. I think the challenge that we're seeing in some cases, and again, just a reality across the board, is workforce labor issues, and some of it being around lack of sub crews. And so I know that that's something that I'm hearing some people that are very dependent upon subs and having a sub model are starting to entertain the idea of having some in-house crews too, because they have a little bit more control over that labor force. So I think that's a big thing, especially as a lot of people in this industry have continued to shift to a sub model. A lot of newer contractors coming in, utilizing subs, again, not a bad thing. But obviously it changes the demand of that a little bit. And there's some other factors going into it of just why there's a reduced labor force on the sub side of things. So again, not a bad thing, but just something that I think to be aware of in some cases that there's not as plentiful, especially if there's a lot of work out there again. And we're seeing a lot of sales and a lot of people repainting homes, interior and exterior. Obviously that all supply and demand becomes a reality there too. Right. So part two, how do you lean up? Honestly, I think the couple things I would suggest is number one, do like a really good evaluation of just honestly all the systems in your business. Like if you take a customer through the journey they go on with your company, what does that customer experience look like? And just figure out what are all the things we're doing that just doesn't connect together or work well together, right? How can we increase that? But what are all the systems we have? We did our mastermind last week for our clients. We do a once a month gathering with all of our clients on Zoom.
Gotcha.
And basically broke it down into here's the 4 production systems that you need in your business. If you only had these 4 things, you would have a pretty systematic and a pretty smooth production, side of your company, right? That it was 2 SOPs and 2 checklists. Nice. And if you just just again, simplification, right? Again, how my brain works. And so I think what I've seen a lot of people over the years is we're accumulating all these different things, trying to do all this. We got 100 different spreadsheets we're trying to run our company on, and this and that, and we've got this software. To your point earlier, before we press record, half of us aren't utilizing to the fullest the platforms we already have, right? And so I think just honestly doing a really good evaluation of all the systems that you utilize, how that customer journey flows, what are the gaps you have, and what are the things where it's this just doesn't click, this doesn't work with DripJobs, or this, how I'm doing this, there's a more streamlined way now to do something. That's, I think, a good thing to work through, if that makes sense, right? And obviously, I mean, you guys have continued to evolve your platform in a lot of different ways too. And again, have we stopped to take time to look at that? Right. To learn it, right. To learn the new features out there that maybe we used to have to do something else, but now we can do it this way inside of it and do it in half the time. Right. So, again, as entrepreneurs, we sometimes get that tunnel vision, head down what's in front of us, and we don't stop to kind of reevaluate things.
Yeah. I mean, I think a good rule to kind of go off of, I mean, would just be probably you might suggest something else here, but probably a quarterly audit, right?
Yeah.
Of those things, even at a high level, right? Just kind of go through each one. Okay, does it still make sense? Are we spending too much money on it? Do we need to cut back users? Do we need? I mean, just a simple quarterly audit could save so much time, headache, and money in the long run.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing too. I mean, a lot of people are, I think a lot of people are lost in the weeds on AI. You kind of mentioned that earlier about just AI in general. And like, I see a lot of people, I mean, I kind of feel that way off and on too, of like, I try to surround myself with people and in places where I'm learning about it. But like, you know, I mean, it's a new thing, right? And it's evolving so rapidly that it's hard to keep up with it. And I think if people that haven't started adopting it at any level yet, like just feel so overwhelmed and lost, and I get it, right? And so, you know, I think that like what I would just say on that is there's a time and a place for it. A lot of softwares are natively integrating AI. Like we're using AI in so many different ways we don't even realize, right? Because it's just built into the things we're doing, whether it's things at home, things here in our business, whatever it is, it's being used all around us. Siri is technically AI. I mean, if you think about it, right? And so there's a lot of different ways we're using it. Just don't feel like, oh my gosh, I need to spend 50 hours learning about AI and AI agents and is Claude or you know, Gemini or like what's like, just don't go crazy with it, right? Figure out how to use it in some very simple, practical ways. I know there's some good content out there on it, but don't like, it's not taking over your business. So don't try to make it happen.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, if anything, just kind of adding this, we'll kind of zip up with this, but if anything, you know, if anything, AI, and I've read quite a bit on this, and I've seen some articles going and seen some people, you know, talking about this. If anything, AI is actually making the trades more valuable, because AI, I don't care how good it gets, it's never going to be able to like replumb your house or
paint it,
you know, or put in new windows or, you know, redo your floors. Like it's just like robots. I don't think in our lifetime we'll ever get that good, you know, or the AI behind the robot that makes it be able to do what it does, you know, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm way off here, but I think if anything for the next foreseeable future, like AI is only going to make the trades in the home service business, you know, that industry just more valuable.
Oh, 100%. And I think like I know one thing, I'm a big fan of HireBus and their services for recruiting and stuff. And they've got a great, and we've got a lot of our clients that are using this, so I can say this with confidence. They've got a great like phone screen interview as part of their recruiting funnel. That where, I mean, literally it gets to a point where our clients that are using it, I mean, they're literally just only doing in-person interviews with all these candidates that have already gone through like an assessment and a phone screen. And the phone interview's legit, Eli. Like it's like very adaptive. It's very natural. I mean, it's obvious it's AI, but like it's good. And then the owners can listen back to it, and like they've built out a whole cool thing that it's like, I don't have to go build that. I just need to be smart enough to use it. And how much time is that saving people on the recruiting front for painters, for project managers, for estimators, right? So, you know, I think there's a lot of great uses that we're seeing with it that really cuts that efficiency down. And I think that's what we're going to continue to see is how do the owner and all those positions do more with the time they have because of AI. But yeah, don't try to go build your own AI agents and do all that internally. Just be smart enough to go, you know, utilize what's already available.
Yeah, true. Because there's a lot of tools already available out there, and I mean, you can do a lot with them already without having to, you know, redesign the wheel, right? I mean,
I'll share this, and I talk about this a lot. I'll make it quick as I know we're going to wrap up, but I almost spent 3 hours trying to build something out. That probably would have took me about 3 hours to build something out in an automation in our CRM. To do what doing it manually will take me about a minute every time I need to do it 5 times a month. And I was like, doesn't make sense, right? Like I have a template and I can just copy and paste it in an email. And guess what? Out of the 3 hours, like I can do that manually for the next year and a half and just finally hit the time equivalent of what it would have took me to do that. And I have to change it 7 times in the next year and a half, probably. Right. So I think that's a big balance. A lot of people are like, I need to automate everything. I need to streamline this and Zapier this. And there are time and a place to do all that. But like, sometimes you end up spending way more time figuring all that out and problem solving it and redoing it when it breaks versus just doing it manually. Like, so again, just know what's worth like trying to streamline and clean up, and what are the things that's like, that really isn't a big deal.
100%. Exactly. Like knowing how to use the tools, knowing what needs to be, you know, reworked, and you know, striking that balance for sure. I mean, which is, you know, so many things in life, right?
Agreed.
Balance. But anyway, but all right. Well, dude, any last thoughts, man? We'll end it on a Chris Moore ending thought for us?
Oh man. I think if there was one thing I had to leave people with, it is understand what you need to produce every month to be profitable in your business. If there's one revolutionary thing I can try to say here in a short 10-second spiel, it's understand how much money do you need to produce, how much work do you need to produce every month to pay all your bills and to make a profit for your company. Because I think that's the one number most people need to know, and they don't.
Love it.
Proactive planning.
Proactive planning. I love it. Awesome. All right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me, man. This is fun.
Of course. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it, guys. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next one, next week or in the next week or two. So thanks, guys. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.